Welcome to Debt to Cinema. I'm Stephen Maltmanex.
And I'm Brian Gillis. Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching latest releases. However, it can sadly put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we missed, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
Or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
The story of a warrior. The woman he loved. A daring outlaw. And a princess destined to become a warrior.
You look at the box office for the international foreign films in the United States, this is the highest grossing one. Like, this was a huge phenomenon when this came out in 2000. As far as I know, like, this blew everybody away. This is a game changer along the lines of The Matrix. You look at reviews, and that's what people were expecting. What the fuck, man? Like, why am I not seeing this movie? I feel like I'm one of those people that watches a foreign film and just doesn't get it. Like, this is the first
What
time
isn't there
that
to
I'm
get
just...
here?
I don't see the big deal. I mean, honestly,
It's a
I love
beautiful
the
love
action
story.
sequence.
It's not an action
No, I felt
movie.
it was really empty. I thought it was completely dead for me. There was no, like, I felt no connection to the romance whatsoever. Those parts were really, really boring. They had hardly any substance or anything that could engage me at all whatsoever. I mean, like, I seriously was kind of drifting off. Like, I purposely didn't watch the English dub. I was thinking about it because I was just thinking, am I tired? Like, am I just not interested in reading? But no, like, I mean, everything is on the surface here.
So
and
this
it's
just
so...
in, Steve likes the love story in singles, which is fucking boring and pretentious.
No, this is fucking boring.
This is
Like,
not boring. This is beautiful.
Singles is about two people that are my age. At least I can connect with that. But this is like, I mean, this movie, it's
Jen and
weird
Lo are
because
about
it's
our
got,
age.
It's got, it's got fucking, honestly, like, the wire work is awesome. Yeah, the action scenes are cool. And then there's this, I don't know what to call this movie because you have this decent action, but is this supposed to be a fantasy or is this a period drama? Like,
It's a period romance.
I don't understand the internal logic. Like, if you want to have action like that, yeah, but it doesn't seem fitting here at all. And the romance here is just on the surface and just very, very empty. And which romance are you talking about, first
Both
of
of
all?
them.
Because
Well, yeah.
I did not care for either one.
Michelle
I really
Yeoh
didn't.
and Chow Yun-fat, they have a
Yeah.
great romance. And then, what's her name? Zini? Whatever. Jen.
Zhengzi, yeah.
Yeah, Jen and Lo.
Or Genzi or Zhengzi. I've heard both from trailer.
Anakin Skywalker and the
voiceovers.
pirate, okay? Like, their romance. Theirs is less so because it's pretty weird. You got the whole, like, Florence Nightingale effect. Like, oh no, you stole my comb and now you're gonna fuck me. I mean, I wasn't as engrossed as I was the first time. I saw this, I'm pretty sure, in 2000 or 2001. It still seemed really fresh, even though that was 15 or 16 years ago. I might have seen it in passing since then. I definitely remember crying at the end or welling up the first time I saw this.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I mean, honestly, like, it felt like pretentious bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I
This
get
is
that's
Ang Lee.
expressive. Maybe
He's not pretentious. He followed this movie up with the Hulk.
This is very unsubtle. Okay, first off, I did not see the Hulk. In fact, that's the thing I realized here is I don't like Brokeback Mountain. I do love Life of Pi like everybody else.
Wait, excuse me.
But that's
it's not the Hulk. It's Hulk. Just Hulk.
okay. But that's 3 Ang Lee movies that I've seen, and I think that's it. I realized I have not seen Taking Woodstock. I've not
I've seen that.
I did not see Hulk. I did not see Sense and Sensibility. So
I haven't seen that one either.
yeah, I'm hardly an Ang Lee expert, but one thing that I've always seemed to admire, just looking at his filmography at least, is that he does different projects every time and he tries to challenge himself or just do something different in general. So I mean, I can respect that, but here, yeah,
you gonna-
I don't know. I don't feel that this is artful at all. I mean, I think that there could be a lot of barriers. Maybe it was just my mood, but the cinematography looked very drab, but the disc that I had, it was clearly, there was no color to it whatsoever, and it was very
well,
over sharpened. But the Blu-ray screenshots on Blu-ray.com looked far more gorgeous than the transfer I had. I got a not too decent copy, so but yeah, no, I mean, it's like, the sets are big and they look great, or they look like sets. They look authentic to the period. There's a lot of extras in the background, but I was very, very underwhelmed by it all, except for the action and the choreography, which I thought was cool.
Speaking of, which one did you prefer?
What,
The
as far as
bamboo
fights?
showdown, the restaurant scene, or the first one with the flying on rooftops? What
I
was your
hated
favorite?
the restaurant scene.
Really?
Actually, I really hated it. I thought it was very obnoxious. It was really cool choreography ruined by "I am blah blah." I can't bother to recite the lines.
I like how that's
the
just a different pace. It's a different tone from the rest of the movie. It seems like something from like a Jackie Chan movie.
It's
In a good
about
way.
as obnoxious as Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones to
I
me.
I
That's
I saw lots of Star Wars comparisons here. You got this disciple, this apprentice who's caught between the light side and the dark. You got Chow Yun Fat, who you could see as either he's like either Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon, and then you got what's your name, the Jade Fox, who's she's either the Emperor or Darth Maul, whatever. Pick your poison. And yet she has her love interest, and she's supposed to do this. She's an aristocrat's daughter. In a good, I don't
yeah,
know.
there are supposed to be these archetypes there. It's just I don't think it all makes for one compelling narrative when all is said and done. Like I am not sure what the hell the final point of this is. I really am not.
It's said multiple times in the movie. There's a quote, like it's one of the first things. So first off, I like that this movie begins right away. There's no meandering, there's no foreshadowing, there's no setup like, oh, this is the Ming Dynasty and this is the age. It just you jump in directly. Here's some characters, here's the sword, get it to the place. But like I said, it talks about the theme right away. Right after that, you get that quote from what's his name, Sir Lee, where he says, "When it comes to emotions, even great heroes can be idiots."
That's really, I still don't get that sense though. At the end of it, I get. I mean, that's just a line, but I'm really not left with. Even if that is the point, that really does not make any impact on me whatsoever. That I'm just kind of like, oh, okay.
How
I mean,
many?
yeah, that line just kind of. I just really just let it pass by, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it, but
Not martial art
do I need
movies, but how many? How much do you watch Asian cinema?
well,
Like
I
period
mean,
Asian
okay.
cinema.
Okay, yeah, Seven Samurai. I mean, you could count most of Kurosawa. I've seen, like, I've seen a lot of Japanese
You've
cinema.
seen the Criterion
Red,
stuff.
yeah, and Red Cliff, I fucking love. I mean, yeah, I've seen enough. I think to say that I'm at least familiar. As far as martial arts, this is probably the first one that is supposed to be serious, and I don't know. I don't think I like the artistic touches. Like, there was a setup for a really badass fight too when they were up in the trees, and then it starts slowing down and it just gets really fucking pretentious and drags on with the slow mo, and I just really,
I don't
really
think
got
that's the word
alienated.
for this movie. I don't think this is a pretentious film. It is
I was
definitely
really alienated by the
heavy-handed.
style.
It's
And
definitely
just
heavy-handed, like it's hard on the sleeve. Ang Lee himself pitched this to Michelle Yeoh as Sense and Sensibility with martial arts. Like this
well,
is
that's
a
the
Jane
thing.
Austen
I never felt
movie.
the heart. I think where you just never felt anything for that relationship in singles, whereas I did. Like, yeah, here I really just didn't feel the heart. The score, like the emotional beats there, it just sounded like Asian cinema, Oriental music to me. It really didn't hit any heartstrings with me at all. Like there
I
was
don't love
really
these characters or anything. It's just
no. But
I
I
can
mean, you
understand.
do.
I think most people have been in a situation like this where you clearly have feelings for someone, and yet instead of having the balls, instead of having the courage to admit you for the longest time or just never really tell them how you feel, and by the time you do, it's too late. And
Yeah, see,
that's the
that's the
beauty
thing
of this
though.
movie.
That's the thing. I don't see that in the performances. I only know it because they're telling me and because I'm reading it on subtitles. And maybe that's just I'm not noticing the subtitles or the subtleties in the
Because you're reading
performances
text
just a little
instead.
stares because I'm reading.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I just could not connect with anything because I'm being told what is supposed to happen. And it's probably more frustrating when I'm reading it too. And it really, I don't know how to balance out how I appreciate this, because the main thing is I walked away thinking, okay, the action is cool. I liked it on an aesthetic level, and I do see how this influenced a bunch of movies that came after it. You know, we talked about Daredevil, like the wire working in that. I'm pretty sure it only exists in that movie because Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was a huge hit internationally.
I mean, it's more relevant, like Jet Li's Hero or House of Flying Daggers.
Oh yeah, no, and things like that. But I mean, in American cinema, in Hollywood, like you see it in little ways.
Oh, like everywhere now. Look at fucking Jupiter Ascending. Like,
well, I think it's more digital filmmaking too sticks out now. But like, yeah, just practical wire work, like especially in Daredevil. You know, Elektra flies around just jumping.
On the rooftops with Bullseye.
Yeah,
So
no, and I swear
silly.
that is a product directly because of this movie.
Or The Matrix. I mean, the fight choreographer did The
Especially
Matrix
The
before
Matrix.
he did this. Like, it's the same guy. So
the Matrix sequels, though, they get much more. They defy the laws of physics way more. Whereas it feels
they
more
build
like
it
the
up.
sequels, at least they're.
that's because the first Matrix has to let you know, like, the rules of the Matrix and what's possible with these people,
and then it
how
becomes a lot more free in the sequels. But you get what I mean, right? It's like it's very clear when you look at it just how this influenced action, but it was a very short-lived trend, I think.
Well, you said it broke box office records. It's not just that. This also was nominated for 10 Oscars. It's the
And won.
only foreign film to do that. Well, it won some of them, not anything.
It definitely won Best Foreign Film.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the gimme. It was up against Gladiator for Best Picture. It clearly didn't win that. It didn't win any of the acting or
I think
screenplay.
it won Best Cinematography.
I believe so too. It
don't
probably
know.
won Best Stunts as well. Oh, right. That's right. That's
But
not
Stunts
a real
is not
category.
an Oscar, but
It
yeah,
should be.
We know it should
1
be.
year.
We've talked about this
1 year.
before.
But I really like the first fight here. Even though
Oh yeah,
it's not even because it's impressive, but it is. But it's the humor that's there. The
Oh, yeah,
way
no, I mean, that's
they're
a big
countering
thing.
each other's blows, how graceful it looks. It's almost like it's a dance, and just how beautiful it is. And then you
I know,
throw
that's like,
onto
it's
that.
one of those great things that you get like in Jackie Chan action
Mm-hmm.
movies. You know, just the humor in those action scenes, and that was something I loved seeing here. Like you do rarely get that in martial arts films, and it's awesome to see that.
Well, I think the beauty here is, though, most of the conflict in this film is either between these two women. It's really about them. It's not about the men in their lives. Like, they play a role, but it's
No.
about women. And, you know, the Jade Fox, she has this line where she's talking about, you know, I had to steal the what is it, the Wudao? I can't remember right now.
What the sword?
No, the school of martial arts, the Wudan, I believe it is, Wudan Mountains. Like, she says that she had to steal the Wudan moves because women aren't trained there. They're not allowed. Like, there's this real beautiful subtext about gender equality and the fact that the most promising martial artist in this film is a woman who, for most of the film, even though it's very obvious, it's a mystery. It's like, who is this ninja? Like, who is she? Well, it's not ninja, it's Chinese, but like,
we know
who
it
is this?
right away.
We know, but I'm just saying, like,
We can tell. Like,
yeah,
under the mask, it's pretty obvious.
it's a movie, of course we can
Yeah.
tell, but everyone's surprised, like, oh, the Jade Fox is a woman. Oh, there's more than one of them. Like, there is some beauty there, especially at this time, like in the early 2000s. Like, this is still a thing now. Look at action films and women's roles in them
Oh yeah,
now.
no, we talked about that. I mean, he's done this twice, like, you know, especially after this with Brokeback Mountain, and somehow I'm underwhelmed by both. I don't know. I think it's more of just the way he tells these stories, like, because these are both unsubtle movies that are just very direct. Although for the times that these have come out, like, yeah, maybe that is the thing, is that you need this kind of story to be that obvious.
I think it's just,
I don't. I'm waiting for the more nuanced one, but
like, what, Ghostbusters 2016, aka the female Ghostbusters.
well, maybe. Hey, no, but I think Bridesmaids, though, like, while you're talking about Paul Feig, that is a good example of a story that's about an actual person. Like, that was the big movie where, oh, hey, you know, it proves that women can be funny, and I'm thinking,
Even
you know,
though that's
no,
still
like,
a bullshit critique of that film. It
it's-
proves that a
well,
funny movie can be made with an all-female cast. Not that
yeah,
women can be
but I mean,
funny.
also, just, you know, that movie got nominated for Best Screenplay, and it's not just because it's funny, but, like,
There's good heart there.
just
yeah.
Kristen Wiig in that movie, yeah. I mean, just everything that she goes through is very relatable, regardless of gender. And I'm just like, that is a great performance too in that movie. I mean, But yeah, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Man,
Which I still think is like the weirdest title ever. It-
I don't
probably the
understand it. You
best.
know, I
I get it. Like there's a line of dialogue that kind of says it, but apparently it means more in Chinese,
mhm.
like mysticism or something. And then like you
See,
go like a
that's
step beyond that, where like Lo's name translates to tiger and Jen's name is dragon or some fucking shit. I don't know. But like the best thing about the title of this film is the way it's used as a joke in Old School when Andy Dick is teaching the blowjob class and he like goes to the kitchen to get some water. He's like, "When I come back, I'll show you something I call Crouching Tiger, Hidden Penis. It's a huge hit." And then that's when Will Ferrell tries to like choke him out and he gets his ass kicked. Just the effect it had in that way, outside just action, obviously. I think I
yeah,
don't know.
no.
I think
Well,
some people don't like certain
here's
directors. I just think you don't vibe with Ang Lee.
I don't know, but I love Life of Pi though. I
I
mean,
think that's because it's
I
a
don't think
visual feast, and you saw it
it's
in
not
3D,
it's not
and
just that though. It's just I mean, the journey itself I love that I was able to engage with. And yes, in 3D it was beautiful, but this should be a visual feast too. Like I came away just appreciating this simply aesthetically, but I you know I this is the thing. Every time I see a movie that everyone just raves over and loves,
I
and
don't.
then I walk away
Is this
underwhelmed.
movie really that anymore? Like I don't know
Oh man,
anyone that really
I don't know
talks about
about
this.
anymore, but every time, like I even glimpse through the reviews, the letterbox, and everyone says like, oh,
Well, it's
it's a standard
Letterbox.
love story, but oh man, the action is amazing. I'm just like, it's okay, it's cool, but it's like 15 minutes, if even that.
A
Like,
little bit
and
more than
it's
that.
15 minutes of a 2 hour movie. I mean, the
It's
rest of
more
it,
than that. It's closer to like 25 to 40. Like,
I don't know. I really, it felt very, very slow for me. The rest of it, like, there were very few bits in
well,
action.
yeah. There's
I
nothing.
was really it was really slogging through for the rest of it for me. I mean, especially those flashbacks in the desert,
Yeah,
the
that
weirdest
stuff did kind of
version of
suck.
Stockholm syndrome ever. I mean,
That I forgot about those flashbacks. I thought it was
yeah,
linear. Like if the movie started with that, it would have changed the whole tone and pace. But
I'm
it
not
would have
so sure that it
made
would have even worked. I
it
mean,
wouldn't
because
have worked. But I'm just saying it. The flashback
it's weird.
where it happens just doesn't make sense, especially in the motives. Like, oh, I get it. Like
Hmm.
Jen has the sword and the lightsaber and she's running away from her problem. She's escaping her marriage. She's leaving her parents. She just wants to get away. She wants to have fun. She wants to go on our adventure. She wants to prove that she's one of the guys too and she can kick ass. I get it, but it's like in between those kick ass moments, oh yeah, and this is how I had my first sexual encounter and realized that I like barbarians, aka pirates. Like it's so bizarre. Like if they cut those 15, 20 minutes out, even though I do really I like the bathing sequence and when he's like, I'm gonna go sing, that's how you're gonna know I'm here, because that song is really cool. And you know glanced over or really like barely spoke about the score, but I think it's probably one of the best things about this movie, and
I know,
perhaps
like
why I like the love story.
everyone loves that score. Like, I mean, I took a class on film scores, and that was one of the examples brought up. And even when I heard it, I was just kind of like, I don't know. It just sounds very plain to my ears. Like, like it just sounds like generic what would be in Hollywood, like Oriental music, basically. And I just could not. I just it didn't gel with me at all. Like, I mean,
Like
there's
this isn't a Charlie Chan movie. This isn't.
Charlie Chan.
Yeah, is that reference lost on you? Like the first original Yellowface franchise? He was an Asian detective. Yeah,
Totally lost on me.
Fu Manchu mustache. Like
Okay.
long series of films. Like I'm talking about silent era, and then even into the talkies, mind you. And it was always a white guy that played him with chinky eyes and yellow
Okay,
makeup.
no. It isn't like that level of like on the nose, but
It's not We Are
it
Siamese, if you please. Like it is
no,
not that. Like it is like
no.
it's beautiful. Like
It's just
it's serene. It's calming. Like it
yeah.
makes you
See,
feel a
that's
certain way. It's maybe just a cello, but
well. Here's the thing: is like every time that someone just when people like love a certain movie, it usually frustrates me.
that
Not
no,
because I'm trying to prove I'm
I
wrong, but
understand that
because
too. When someone
it's like
really
I want to see
praises
what people are talking about. Like, I mean, it's like even now, I'm not gonna buy this for $1, but I'm still left with
I won't either,
I'm gonna
but
want to see this again at some point, hoping that I have a better experience and that I finally get it because I feel like at the end of this, I didn't feel it was horrible, but I felt like I just kind of walked away. I'm just kind of like, I don't get it. You know, I'm not sure necessarily what everyone's raving
I
about.
think you
The
saw it.
experience that I have is just not one that I'm
I
feeling.
think you saw it for the wrong reason. You wanted to see what you're missing out on. You wanted to understand why it's beloved, and you were hoping that
Well,
you
no,
would
that's
like it
not
too. And I,
that's not why I saw it. You know, those are things that like I know. Okay, it's well regarded, and then I find out later on. Like I do my
the
research
precipice of the show
after.
is that it's a list of shame. You pick something
Yeah.
that you hadn't seen that you thought that you had to, and you thought you had
Well,
to
some that
because
everyone is praised
exactly
about,
because
but you know,
everyone's
it's been
praised.
kept under
And
wraps, and so I
I've,
wanted to find out why. I did my
I've
research
had
why
this
after I saw it. And I
problem.
was like, why do people love this? Because I'm not quite sure why. And then I do more reading on it. It's like that is just not my experience at all.
I've had this problem too. I mean, the first time I
Yeah.
think I struggled with this kind of idea of what society reveres versus what I observe was The Godfather. The first time I saw that film, I
Hmm.
went, "This fucking sucks. How is this the best movie ever made?" I was like, "I'm never even going to see the sequel," and eventually I did. And I kind of understood that one, and I've calmed my tits since then. Like I will rewatch those and probably even see the third one at some point to see them with my own eyes since I've already
Yeah.
understood what they are. But anytime something is revered or praised a certain way, especially if it's before your time or it was released before, like, if it came out before you were alive or before you really appreciated a medium, like for instance Beatles albums are kind of this way for me too, like just anything that's a cultural landmark that you can't not hear about it, like something like Criterion Collection to a certain extent.
Yeah.
If it's if people are jerking off to it, like, oh
No,
my
like
god, like this is the best
I
thing
know
ever
it's.
made, like
I can say the same thing about Jurassic Park and Terminator 2. Like those are
everyone,
movies
yeah,
that I've grown to at least respect more, but that I just totally was not on board with the first time I saw them.
everyone has this experience, and I think you already admitted that you want to see
Hmm.
this again. I think that's just
Yeah,
I think
I'm
this
gonna
is what
have to.
that
I think at
was
some point.
because
Well, but
it,
it's like the when you do see this stuff, it's like when you read reviews and you want to find out why someone likes something more. Like it's not necessarily to have your opinion validated, but I think the point of reviews is that you're just curious what other people think and necessarily why. And so when you see how they reacted to something, and you just fully are able to articulate yours better because you realize, wait, no, that thing, like that totally did not work for me at all, and here's why. Like I don't. I guess when you describe how that works for you, that makes sense, but I
mhm.
still just don't see it that way. But I can understand how someone would get there. It's just it really is frustrating though, like because it's like I really want to like this movie. There's a lot of stuff that I think is cool, but man, like yeah, when it just comes down to that plot, it felt so paper thin. I could not connect with any character. I could not connect with the performances. Maybe it's just the way that the subtitles were written too. Like I don't know how many different versions of those are written out there, but I would imagine that they're probably similar.
First, were yours white or
Yeah,
yellow?
they were yellow.
Okay, mine were white. I really hate white subtitles. It's so distracting. Um, but I mean, we were talking about how people perceive something or revere or praise something can tint the way that you observe it for the first time. It also goes in reverse for me, now that I think about it. With examples being uh, The Dark Knight, Inception, and 500 Days of Summer. Like how those were just no one could shut the fuck up about them for I don't know about a year after their release for all three. It was like a zeitgeist. Like, oh, have you not seen 500 Days of Summer? You got to see it. Check out my new Facebook profile picture where I'm taking a picture on that hill in LA. But anytime a movie is like that, I like kind of just own it for a while. I have to hate it. It does, despite however
Well,
I
that's what you
felt.
call overrated, though. Like
It
everyone does that.
none of those movies are overrated though. It's just at the time
At the time, no. Like, yeah, you just hear something about it so much that you just get sick of
you
it.
get
You're
sick
like,
of it.
I don't
It's
want to hear anything else about the Dark Knight. It was a fucking
yeah,
cultural
a land. Yeah,
phenomenon. It was an event.
it's
Now,
funny
it was
because
great. Now
The
shut the fuck
Force
up.
Awakens wasn't that for me. Like people were obviously praising and talking about it a lot, but it wasn't. It was an example like that. Maybe it's because how Hollywood and the blockbuster mentalities kind of shifted since then. The fact that we get so many billion-dollar grosses in a single year now Whereas back then, like The Dark Knight, it was like this is the end all be all blockbuster for the entire year. Nothing else is going to get close to this.
Well, yeah, and then this is also, hey, Christopher Nolan is a god now.
And Christian Bale and Heath Ledger died,
Yeah.
and there was a lot going into that movie, and the score and the IMAX footage and so much
Yeah.
shit. But yeah, I'm really happy that The Force Awakens wasn't ruined for me like that. When I saw it the second time, I still enjoyed it just as much. But I really hope in the future there's some way to. You remember how like Twitter or not Twitter, Netflix did that whole thing where, not Netflix, AMC, where they blocked all spoilers on the internet for Breaking Bad's finale or something along those lines. Like they came up with some kind of algorithm so you couldn't get what happened ruined for you. They need to invent something like that on the internet for films of this nature, not just films, like I said, but books or movies or like TV shows, anything really that's iconic, so people can create their own opinion. I do think
I don't know if you could do that. Like, you can probably filter out your own stuff for yourself, but you can't censor someone else's opinion.
Well,
really,
not
even
censor-
if they want to praise something.
not censor,
I think
but
it's cool that.
lesson.
I really do think it's cool that people I've read articles from some of the ones I stumbled upon was back in 2000 for this movie that premiered at Cannes and or Cannes. Even I say it wrong at times, but I mean, yeah, it was actually dead on some things. Like, hey, this is gonna make over $100 million in the U.S. Like, it is that good. If I could steal a print of this movie right now and show it to my friends, I would. It is that good. Like, at the time, this was a big deal. I mean, and like, there was even a link to the trailer, and I looked at that trailer, and even that got me pumped up. Like, it looks like nothing that probably came out at that point in time. I don't know. Maybe now it's just. I mean, I think maybe I just expected more out of Ang Lee.
Yeah. No.
It's probably something of getting older, but yeah, I don't know how to describe this movie because
I just think
there's great fantastical elements, but then I don't know whether to call it a period setting, and I just don't know if the mystical elements blended well with me necessarily, because it's hard to see something that's cool in this way and take it seriously at the same time, because this has a very, very serious tone throughout. Like, there really is no sense of fun.
Well,
yet the action is
disagree.
exactly that for
Most
me.
of Jen's stuff is pretty fun. It's like the restaurant scene, for instance, any of her showdowns with Chow Yun-fat.
See, the restaurant scene is supposed to be a big character moment for me, and it's like I feel like this
she's
is a
a
serious
brat,
moment, but
so it's hard to care for her.
Yeah.
Like she's a spoiled bitch who,
I feel like that was the sense of how I was supposed to feel during the scene, though. I'm not saying I did. I just feel like I got the sense that was what they were going for.
Hopefully,
is that this is a big moment for her. Is like, even if she may be wrong, like, she is standing up for herself and trying to prove herself in that moment.
She's one of those
And you're
characters.
supposed to take it seriously.
She's one of those characters that you love to hate. Like she's a bitch, but you can't help but kind of cheer for her at certain moments. But I really wish that you had seen this when it came out, because the same year, the one that won Best Picture, Gladiator. If someone had never seen Gladiator and they saw it this year and they went into it with the same goggles you had here, like, it won Best Picture, fucking Russell Crowe's best movie, one of Ridley Scott's best movies, like, Joaquin Phoenix is amazing, like, the
Even
action
now, I'm like
set
that with
pieces.
Gladiator. I mean, I saw Gladiator as a kid on VHS, and I actually like it less now, but I still think it's a cool movie.
I'm not saying it's not a cool movie, but if
I'm just saying, though, that would be a good example.
yeah,
though.
like,
You're right.
like you would watch, you'd be like, this isn't even that good. Russell Crowe's better in, I don't know, fucking, I don't have an example. The Beautiful Mind, okay?
He's a two-dimensional character that just wants revenge. That's it. Like, it's a cool, simple revenge story, and stylistically, it's really cool.
Unforgiven
the score is
in-
also a big thing that makes that movie. But
Unforgiven in the Coliseum. That's the movie.
yeah, in a way. Except I think Unforgiven has a lot more layers to it, and it's
because it's not
deals
in
with
one
old age. I mean, yeah. There's a lot more.
There's
to
a lot.
Unforgiven.
It's Clint
Gladiator is a
Eastwood
simple
also,
revenge
so
story.
it's him playing a character that's kind of the old man character of a character that he's iconic for. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot more historical artifacts going into that one.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can find.
but yeah,
whereas Gladiator, it's fun.
It's one of those things though. Like I said, like there's multiple examples. Uncharted series, for instance, Uncharted 4 just came out. The second game, I tell a lot of people, it's one of my favorite games ever made. A lot of people tell you it's one of their favorite games. Like, it is one of the best video games of the PS3 generation, flat out. And someone in 10 years knowing that, if they played it, they'd be like, fuck this game. It's linear and boring. Like, it doesn't even look that good. Like, I'm sure something like that would happen. And it's just the downside of being late to the party. Like, regardless.
But it's also a matter of taste, I think.
It is taste as well, but I think it goes hand in hand. For instance, I still have never seen The Sopranos. I know if I do, I might not like it for those reasons. Like, I might be let down because of the praise. And for that reason, whenever something comes out now, I try to give it a shot at its initialization, like when it premieres or when the pilot lands or opening weekend or something along those lines, so we can, make a decision for our own. It's kind of why I made this podcast, why anyone does reviews on the internet. It's so our voice can be made before other people kind of set up what our voice should be.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the big thing here, though, is it's mainly what I do anyway is I try to be objective, but like
it's hard though.
By my own standard, though, like of what I look for, and I'm so in a sense I'm usually just honest about my subjective experience, and that's usually what I try to recount is my experience watching the movie itself. Like at the very least, like I can tell that with this, and yeah, I like The Sopranos. It's a good show, but with this. I can tell it's an A movie. I can tell that there's a lot of work being put into it. I've seen a lot of movies. I can tell when something is lazy or when someone thinks that they're making a great movie and they're just making a piece of shit and they don't realize what to put work in for. Like at least this, they are able to tell a linear story. They know what beats they need to hit, and they're doing. Even if I don't like the execution of it itself, I see what it is that they're going for. Kind of, at least like I can tell that they're going for something, whereas it's not something amateurish where I'm just left with like I have zero understanding of what you're doing at all. You know what I mean?
So this is your singles.
Well, yeah, it's funny that we're flipping back and forth and it's on each other's picks right now, but yeah, I mean, that is my main takeaway. Like what we're talking about right now, yeah, I can tell that that this movie is being made with care and that there is like some soul or some personal touches being put in there, whether it be in the script or just in the aesthetics, whatever there is ever being put into it.
I just doesn't gel with you.
With it. Yeah, it just doesn't resonate, and that really, really bums me out. I did not enjoy watching this necessarily, aside from the action, but I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't see it. That like that. I mean, even then, like my lowest rating on here was Freddy Got Fingered. I'm not saying don't see that movie either, but it sure as hell was something that did not work for me, and I explained why. But
maybe
yeah, God, I really wanted to like this movie, man. I was really, really bummed out by that.
That's probably what it was, though. Like you went in with that expectation, even though you didn't do the research.
It's not expectations. It's like you.
It is though.
I go into because like I don't go in expecting like expectation is like I'm going to like this movie. I went in with hope, like as I do with any movie. Anything that I see, I want to come out liking it. I want to say, hey, it's worth my time.
Well, hope is an expectation though. Like you.
Well, I mean that's the thing. Like the thing that you do with movies, and I mean everyone goes in like expecting like something good, like, hey, I'm going to watch this and it's going to be good. They don't necessarily just go in for the experience. Like I go in
I just
sit down and I watch it, and then I reflect on the experience later, and I think really hard about whether or not it was worth my time or not. And sometimes, I may not necessarily enjoy it, but I think, what, there was some value there that was worth it. Here, I just could not connect with anything that I felt was worth it to me, but I will go in again at some point, and I want to see if I can find something. And I probably will. I mean, that was the case with Jurassic Park and Terminator 2, so who knows?
I'll be back.
Maybe even Kingpin.
Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on the titular Dollar Review Show, a spoiler-free critique of new releases or anything we've discovered on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
We're available on iTunes, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and constantly looking to expand to other platforms.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or even if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BryonGillis, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.